Hi there. Today we're going to talk about this latest episode of Sister Wives. This is episode 8 of season 18. So, Meri is meeting with Kody finally. She has Robin there for emotional support, I guess, so she can break the news to him. Kody says that, she called and said she wanted to talk to him and basically that he didn't really care. She called and so he went. No great interest, not really concerned about what she had to say. When he got there, I was just like, wow, it's just like having, no, it's less than that. I was about to say it's like having just a girlfriend over, but it wasn't even a warm reception, a warm greeting, even like that, what you would have with a girlfriend. It's almost like a stranger coming to your door and you invite them in for a drink of water, but you don't really know them, so it's kind of awkward, but you're trying to be nice. It's just really weird. There's no warmth. There's nothing between Meri and Kody. So he comes in and it's all awkward, so she decides. Kody mentions that, and I don't know if this is to cover the awkwardness between him and Meri, but he mentions that they had decided years ago that they would not show affection in front of the other wives. So this is why it's so weird between them. Meri also seems to agree that they had made this agreement. However, she said that she didn't feel any kind of way about it as long as she knew that things were good between her and Kody. But now that they're not really good, then she doesn't know what to think. And so it's just weird that Kody is bringing up this thing about about the agreement they had on how they would behave in front of the other wives. He says he feels like him and Robin has not been able to express their love for each other. And he mentions something about, basically saying that because of the plural marriage, he doesn't feel like he's been free to show affection towards Robin, which, were you not the one who came up with this agreement? So how are you griping about this now? He's always so contradictory. So anyway, after she hummed and hawed, she finally revealed that she's going to be downsizing and moving her business to Utah. And he says, cool. Almost like a buddy telling you something, and he was like, just didn't really care either way. She says she already doesn't think that he would care. And so there it is. He doesn't really care. You could tell from his reaction, he's just like, okay, why are you telling me this? Anyway, Robin starts to fake cry later on in the conversation because he wants Kody to help her to keep Meri there. And he's like, oh, Kody, please say the right thing. And please give her something to hang on to. And I was just like, oh, Lord, here we go again. She's just trying desperately to help keep Meri there for some reason. Meri notices that Kody has a new wedding band, which she finds odd because they all had the same wedding band, and then now he has a different one. So she asks about what's that new ring, and Cody's like, oh, we're talking about the ring now. Like, what's going on? He didn't really answer her, but it got all awkward. And then Meri said that, she didn't know what this new ring was about. Did he buy it for himself? Did Meri buy it, or what happened? And she's like, she has no details about it, but she doesn't really care. But clearly, Meri, you do care because you're asking him about it. You're wondering about it, and you're wondering why he doesn't have the matching rings that you guys used to have, why that was replaced. So you do care. So he never really answered, not even in the confessional. He didn't mention why he changed his wedding band. So we don't know. It's a mystery still at this point. We see where Janelle and Christine are going over to Garrison's house. They're going to meet there because Garrison bought a new house, and so Gabe and Gwendolyn are going to be his roommates. Gabe and Garrison are Janelle's sons, and then Gwen is Christine's daughter. And so it's great to see them. They get along well. Janelle said that they used to live together, but then once they moved to Las Vegas, they had separate homes. But they still function pretty much and interact as siblings, which is good, even though they no longer live together. And so they did a tour of the house and, see what rooms are available and who could possibly have which room. And so after they finished the tour and went back downstairs, Garrison had mentioned, them having to sign a lease, and so that the moms would need to be the co-signer, just in case that they get mad at each other and don't want to pay rent, which is very wise because we already know how things can go left when it comes to mixing business and pleasure. So that's wise of him to make sure that he has a lease to secure their obligations to paying him his rent. Anyway, Kody, we go back to the conversation with Kody and Meri and Robin, and he seems to be selling her on the idea of moving. He says she, wouldn't she be more happier there? It seems to be her happy place. And he says he sees the writing on the wall and he's just waiting for her to catch up. So basically, he's done, but she's not realizing that he's done. So he's just like playing along and waiting for her to see the light. They had this little conversation about some incident that happened years ago, and she mentioned something about putting clothes somewhere. And Robin, in her confessional, was saying, see, they still have something. Why would you remember something that happened years ago? And so I was just like, she's just reaching for any little thing to try to convince Meri to stay. She's just hell-bent on keeping Meri in suffrage for some reason. I don't know what is the benefit to her of keeping Meri there. She doesn't seem to be, I guess Mary's a good friend to her, but she doesn't really have to do that much work. So maybe that's the benefit to her. But Mary's not really benefiting from the relationship that she has with Robin. She says they're supposed to be good friends, but so far I haven't seen it. So, they get to a long conversation after they discuss the plans to move, and Kody's like, okay, whatever. And Robin says, well, we'll just have to schedule. And Kody's like, what are you talking about? I'm trying to help her go away. You should see his face. He's like, schedule what? Why does she need to come back here? Robin was mentioned they need to schedule so she could come back and they can spend time together. And he's like, no. In his confession, he's like, I just don't want this, I don't want this kind of pressure. And so Robin wants Kody to help her string Meri along, and Kody doesn't care. Kody wants to be as far away from Meri as possible. So we go back to Christine. They're still at Garrison's house, Christine and Janelle. Christine was telling the kids that, there's a unit available next to her, and, it'd be great if Janelle could move in. But she also understands that Janelle might not be quite ready to move yet. However, they get along great, and she feels like they would have a great time. And then they go on to reminisce about the times that they spent together as a family, both her and Janelle and the kids. And Garrison mentioned that he would, he could host Christmas at his house. And Janelle says he doesn't foresee spending Christmas with Kody again. Christine goes on to mention that, now that Kody's not really in their lives, it doesn't really affect her children as much because he wasn't really in their life that much because he was so busy with, other kids. Christine says that Janelle's children had more, quality time with him when they were growing up. So this situation where now he's not really in their lives is affecting them more. And Janelle says that she's concerned for their mental health. And, one of the boys, he said, used to be a bit more outgoing. Now he's all quiet. And so, this whole thing with Kody pretty much abandoning them is kind of affecting them as well. So we go back to Mary's house. Robin is prompting her to tell Kody something, which is kind of awkward. And, she goes on to say what the thing is, because Robin was trying to prompt her to tell without telling what it is that she's supposed to say. So she goes on to say that she's not planning to leave him or the family. And Kody is just looking annoyed. In his confessional, Kody says, well, good on you, Meri, because this doesn't change anything. Yeah, poor thing. Kody is wondering why she's still even in Flagstaff. And Meri says that she didn't buy the house with intent on moving into it. She bought it for sentimental value because it was her mom's. And Kody says, yes, he understands that she, bought it for sentimental value, but, why not live in it? So they're trying to tell Kody that she's not moving. She's just moving the business. She still have a house here, but then she's going to stay in one room at the B&B like her mom used to do, and then she'll have the house here. And so Kody's like, why not move into the house? You have a house. Why not move into the house? And he's like, I'm confused. And I'm like, yeah, it just doesn't make fiscal sense. You have a house there. Your business is going to be there. Why not move there? So he says that, she's trying to have a house here on some remote chance that they can be back together. And he was like, yeah, I don't think so. So Meri says she's going to just downsize to a smaller house in Flagstaff. And so we see where she's getting emotional because she says she still has hope and she wants him to care. And he is just sitting there looking off into the middle distance. I feel bad for Meri, but it was just funny because she has these grand, she has hopes and dreams and she's getting emotional and he's just looking. So Robin is pushing her to reconcile with him for some reason, and so he's just like, "Oh my Lord, I think she's hinting at something here." So Meri says Meri says the conversation that she's had now means that she needs to go ahead and live her life. The conversation that she's having with Kody and the reaction that she's not getting. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. Kody says she feels like Robin will lose respect for him if he abandons the women, which I think he's referring to Meri. And so he says that he will live in her denial with her if that's what it takes, basically. So because Robin will lose respect for him, then he will play along with Meri to please Robin, basically is what I'm hearing from this. So I'm like, okay. So after we pan from Kody, we go back to Christine. Christine is in Flagstaff for Janelle's birthday, and she says she heard that Janelle is going out with Kody for her birthday. Christine says, she understands that Janelle is in a weird stage of her relationship with Kody, but she will still support her, whatever she wants to do and whatever makes her happy, even if it's staying with Kody. And so that's really cool to hear from her. Janelle says that her and Kody can hang out and have a good time, but she doesn't think that, there's any way to work things out with Kody or to even get back into a relationship with him. And back to the Kody, Robin, and Meri conversation. Kody says Meri doesn't seem to know what she wants. He says she has been guessing for 33 years because she never knows what she wants. I'm like, yikes. So I just wonder if Meri watches the show back, because my goodness, that was really brutal. And, I know Christine, or was it Christine or Janelle who had mentioned how he would always talk bad about Meri behind her back? And how many times has he said stuff similar to this, and has she seen it? I just wonder, because, man, I would be feeling so ashamed just to hear that somebody say this about me. So anyway, he says that, he'll just throw out ideas, because since she doesn't know what she wants, she'll just throw out some ideas. So he mentioned about building on Coyote Pass. He mentions at one point that how Christine had stayed on Coyote Pass in an RV. Something about her being there with some dogs, and now she doesn't have. I wasn't paying close attention to the details of that. But anyway, he was suggesting that she build on the land, and then while she's building the house, that she could stay in an RV there, similar to how whoever it was staying there before. And Meri was like, hell no. Then he's like, oh, I have another idea, but I don't know if you guys will, like this, but I'll throw it out anyway. He says that he was thinking of building a barn dominium. And this is like a steel building that's easily constructed. It has a garage on the bottom. And so he would store his cars and stuff that Janelle and Christine left and other things that he wanted to put in storage. But there's a loft apartment on top, and she could live in the loft apartment. So basically, she has a little box apartment on top of the junk on the lower level. And so Meri is insulted by both suggestion, rightfully so, my word. So Robin is living in the house, but you're supposed to live out in the woods in a little baby loft in a metal building. Okay. So anyway, Meri thinks that he's trying to isolate her along with the things that he doesn't want. And once again, Meri, duh, he doesn't want you. He's not interested. And so she still says, she's still not like taking a clue, not taking any action. She's really unbearable at this point because she's confirming to herself as well that Kody doesn't care, but yet she's not leaving. Leave, Meri, leave. So anyway, at the end of the conversation, Kody tries to pacify her, letting her know that he doesn't think she's leaving because she had mentioned that, I don't want you to think that I'm leaving the family or leaving you. And he says that he doesn't, think that she's going to be leaving and so that she's good. And of course, he does not think she's leaving because he has been trying to get rid of her, it seems, for years, and she's not leaving. She even goes on to say that, yeah, of course he doesn't think that I'm leaving because he doesn't care. He doesn't care, so why not move on, Meri? I don't get it. Is this a storyline? It has to be a storyline because one person couldn't. Why would you put yourself through this? I don't get it. Anyway, Robin is now saying in her confessional that Meri says that when she had mentioned that maybe she should get her happiness, she felt selfish for wanting Meri to stay. She says Meri said never to say that again, that she needs her to always tell her that there's hope. And so now she starts to cry again. I'm like, oh my gosh, not the fake tears again. She says, Meri also said that sometimes she would be too weak to fight, and so she needs someone else to fight. And I'm like, fight what? Are we in a war zone? Like, what are we talking about here? Did this really happen? Because I don't see that, you know how sometimes in the episodes they'll play stuff back. Meri didn't mention anything about saying this. Nothing was played back. Is this really true? Can anybody confirm? Why would she say that? I don't know if I'm believing that this happened, but you guys who have been watching for a longer time, let me know if this really happened. That sounds weird for somebody to say. It's almost like something that somebody would say if they're terminal, or really, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to say. I'm just getting really annoyed of this merry-go-round, like literal merry-go-round. Anyway, we see Kody. He's going to be taking Janelle out. So we see him in the car. He's driving to go pick her up. He says it's been 6 months since the big fight, and then I think about 4 months since the meeting at the restaurant where she mentions that she wanted to stay separated. And he actually seems excited to take her out. He says that he doesn't know how they got there, and why can't they just reconcile? He needs to figure out why, as he's clueless as to what the problem is. How are you clueless, Kody? Because they just sat in the restaurant not too long ago talking about all the concerns that Janelle had. And then I'm sure Janelle had mentioned it probably like 1,000,001 times before. How are you clueless about what the problem is? So he goes on while he's in the car talking about going through a divorce and sleeping with your partner, your lover, your wife. And is he trying to say that he and Janelle are still being intimate? Or is he referring to something else? I didn't get what he was trying to say there. As to me, it seems like he's alluding to them still being intimate. I hope not. So anyway, he is feeling like they should be able to work things out. Meanwhile, Janelle says that, they really don't have a connection anymore, but she still enjoys his company. She just wants to have a fun birthday, and, he wanted to take her out, so why not? It's better than staying home and watching TV. So she's kind of taking it with a grain of salt. It doesn't really mean anything significant to her, but it seems like Kody is thinking that, this might mean something. He's got a reservation to a restaurant. I think the restaurant was Mariposa, or is that where it was? But anyway, he's bragging about how this place is hard to get into. Janelle couldn't get a reservation, but he did. So he feels like this is going to turn the tide for him as far as being able to get Janelle to agree to reconcile with him. So when it's supposed to be a big secret, so she didn't know before he picked her up. So when he did reveal this to her as far as where they're going, she seemed really happy and excited. She appreciated the gesture. But of course, she's like, yeah, this doesn't mean anything. So he starts to whine in his confessional about how she keeps putting up roadblocks and taking him down a notch and this and that. But he feels as though this little thing that he's doing is supposed to mean that she's supposed to reconcile with him. And Janelle is not really there with that. Janelle says that they're different people now. And she talks about how he spends a lot of time with Robin's kids and, Robin and her kids, and how, she feels like she wants a different relationship that gives her a relationship that gives her more consideration. And so she's not really hopeful about any kind of reconciliation with Kody, contrary to what he's thinking or wanting. She says at one point during the outing that she had slipped her hand into his out of habit, but it just didn't seem right. Kody goes on to say in his little scene that he's been in love with her before. They can do it again. He also mentioned at one point that they had been separated multiple times before in the past, and so he feels like they can reconcile again. And so he is like trying really hard without trying to reconcile, because he's saying he really wants to reconcile, but we don't see where he's doing a whole lot. He's not changing at all. So for whatever reason, he is like really pushing hard to reconcile with her, even though the feeling is not quite mutual. So, you have Meri, who's willing and ready to reconcile with him. And then you have Janelle, who's not quite willing to do so, but he's forcing the issue with Janelle. He also mentioned last episode that he wanted to reconcile, for his honor and all of that. He mentioned love nowhere as far as the reason for him to reconcile. So what is the purpose? Why are you forcing this issue if there's not really love there? Why are you bothering? Especially since the feeling's not really mutual. So I don't know. I just don't get Kody. He says that he wants to feel like a person and not an object. So what exactly is this supposed to mean now? Is he trying to say that he's being used again? Is he being like sour grapes because he took her out to this restaurant and her answer is still no? I mean, he invited her out and she went and as she wanted him to, and then now he's feeling objectified. I don't know. Anyway, so this is how the episode ended, with him saying, oh, he doesn't want to feel like an object. I'm like, where are you going with this, Kody? Anyway, next episode, we see where Janelle and Christine and their children are having dinner. And so they're, I guess, mulling over what had happened during the COVID and the issues surrounding that and with Robin. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, I think those are the main points from this episode. Let me know what you thought of the scenes in this. And if you know about this, more about this history of these rules about, behavior in front of the wives, is this really true? And is there anything to substantiate that Meri really told Robin the stuff that she's saying about, fighting for her and telling her there's hope? Is this really true? I don't know if that I'm buying this. Anyway, let me know your thoughts.